Hello and welcome to Royal Oak Comics Party, episode 4. Today our guest is filmmaker, musician, producer, teacher, and by far the most intimidating person I know in real life, Courtney Spivak.
Hi, well that's quite the introduction there.
Hi,
My
Courtney.
goodness. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Mike. Great to be here.
Thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
Banter.
Small talk.
You don't say.
Indeed, this weather. So many temperatures.
Oh my God, it's hot as hell in here.
Yes.
But what were we going to talk about?
Well, there's all sorts of things we could talk about.
Any of these things on the table,
Any
perhaps?
of these delightful products that I brought with me to discuss today.
What do you have? Okay, can we look at this one first?
Sure.
What is this one? This is a beautiful VHS tape with inkjet labels.
Yeah, well, that's an antique from 1999. That's actually, yeah.
Ooh. Oh.
We were kind of, talking about it and thinking, oh, it'd be kind of funny to bring that because I used to have a cable access show years and years ago.
On this very station, in this very building?
Yeah, this was one of the stations that carried it. And
What did you guys do?
Well, I did just about anything I could to fill in 30 minutes, basically. Well, 27-ish minutes. So, I would go around and sort of interview and sort of do little spots on local businesses and bands, and I'd have sort of strange short films, and I would also basically just look for weirdos on the street who wanted to talk to me, and so lots of occasional interstitials of crazy rambling people, which we actually went over very well.
I remember a shot, it was like somebody, like an 89X DJ talking, but beside a
Yes.
Wendy's.
Yes.
Like at the Wendy's drive-thru.
Which
So I was also,
89X DJ?
Yeah, well, a 90s 89X DJ, and you have to be an opportunist, if you're doing a show like this. So that was right around the corner from my house at that time. So it's like, okay, get the cameras. This is our feature for today. And he, of course, played along nicely. Probably didn't hurt that at the time I was like a attractive teenage girl. I'm sure that had nothing to do with it whatsoever, but totally unrelated. I'm sure anyone he would have given the same fair,
Right.
undivided attention to.
Behind a Wendy's.
Behind a Wendy's.
This is the lawsuit
So yeah, it was
portion.
funny because nothing untoward happened.
We didn't say which.
But it was
DJ.
funny because I came back here for I don't know what the name of the show was, the performance sort of like capstone show. Is it just called like CMN Presents or?
Yeah, CMN Presents is the student show that we do. So all of the people who are in the production class get together and make the music show.
I just thought it was funny because I came back to do that show and perform as Ex-American, my music project. And I was in here for 5 minutes, and there was somebody who remembered me and remembered who I was after whatever, X number.
From the before times. Do you know who it was?
Amount of years. I don't know his name. I'm sorry. I feel guilty now. I actually
What did they
don't know
look
his name.
like? I forgot.
Paint a word
Gentleman
picture.
of a certain age,
12?
saying mature age
Oh.
of some years,
18?
adult, mature gentleman,
25.
store discount years.
So it's an old cranky guy, which is most of the people.
That's not really
Most of the people are.
Everybody's either an old cranky guy or an old
It wasn't
cranky guy
to
in
me,
training.
But, that is true. That's a true life observation.
He showed up with a wheelbarrow full of tapes of the show the next day.
I remember you.
Can you roll in these for me while I
Whoever's
look?
the village elder, I'm sure it was. Yeah. It's like, I remember you. I knew you were a vampire. Why have you returned?
We have a lot of village elders here.
So, yeah, I'm not unfamiliar with the concept of, trying to put together the local television show. Let's just say that.
How are we doing? Are we doing okay?
I don't know. I'm really anxious. I feel like I'm just bump on a lug. I'm just along for the ride to laugh, blow the levels out laughing really loudly and feeling super uneasy.
Is that what we always do?
I guess so. I guess that's like the shtick of the entire show.
Yes. Your special, unique chemistry.
We have a guest, and we both laugh. That's all.
It's like the
Good.
chemistry experiment where you take baking soda and put it together.
Yes.
And then you have hippie
Then you cry.
toothpaste.
Or deodorant.
Yeah, really, hippie anything.
Is that
Is mostly just rub
baking
soda
soda
all over your body.
anywhere? Sprinkle baking
For your
soda
health.
over your garden.
Yeah.
But so I wanted to talk about also Ex-American in more detail.
Yes.
I have no real questions other than describe. I have a hard time describing what Ex-American music sounds like or is. So do you have a description of it that you're satisfied with?
Well, yeah, it is kind of difficult for me to describe, and people are always asking me, and I'm always sort of, stumped. I'm like, because I feel like it sort of refers to things that exist, but it's a little different. Like, it's electronic dance music, and it's 80s-ish and 90s-ish, but it's sort of like when you're having a nightmare about something, and it's kind of off, where it's like not necessarily an unpleasant nightmare, but it's sort of like the musical equivalent of you're at the airport, but it's also your old high school, and you can't find your shoes.
Yes.
But 80s music. So it's kind of like vague elements of the familiar, but kind of like very like nostalgic 80s, 90s, but at the same time with some sort of unsettling, unfamiliar. Something's not quite right about this, in a good way. So that's my sinister, long-winded description.
I think that's I think that's a good description because definitely, there's I don't know. I feel like something is the matter with it where it's like so close. It's so close to being like pop music or dance music, but the thing that would push it over the line is just not there. You can't define what the thing is
It's
that's
the
missing.
musical equivalent of what some drunken, street harasser guy said to me once when I was younger, which was he kind of looked at me like this. He's like, "You're kind of hot." And I was like, "Somewhat, thank you."
This is kind of 80s dance music then?
You're kind of 80s.
Right.
Is it in the airport, like the airport that's also your high school, in the way that like your voice is coming over the PA as I'm running and like trying to find where my pants went and stuff?
Attention, attention, there is no freedom in safety. Fear of nothing will only lead to regret. Your plane is coming in stall 9, stall 9. Throw caution to the careful. Run the razor across the falling man.
I'm
He'll understand.
I'm gonna put the little bouncing ball under your.
This is the sing-along. Yeah. Well, that's my favorite, is making up cat versions and like Harry Connick Jr. versions of my own songs when I'm around the house. I'm just like, run the razor across the falling man, he'll understand. Sharpen your knives. And I'll do that. I'll do like the Christmas
Is that while
CD
you're sharpening the knives?
Yeah. And that's not creepy in the slightest, For anyone else who might be home, even the cats look slightly, give me a bit of kitty cat side eye.
But I don't know if the cameras can get it, but the CDR that you put out is also like has it's some of the most intense like handmade. I was using it as a
bookmark in an unprofessional fashion
for
the next talking
big
point.
Perfume sample in there.
But like super intense handmade. It's like rub down letters. You were saying they were?
Yeah.
That's intense.
So it's like this rub down press type. If you want to.
Cool.
So. Least effective manufacturing known to man, basically. Like the most horrible. Think of the worst, most time-consuming way you could manufacture something.
That's how we do everything.
And
right.
so obviously it was a very limited edition because I actually lovingly cut all those triangles out and I pressed.
Cool.
I hand rubbed all that typing on there and.
It looks almost like a temporary tattoo.
Yeah, it looks very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
cool.
it kind of
this
comes.
This is like hard metal foil.
Yeah.
I want to pick at it.
Don't pick at the stunt copy. I'll give you your own copy to pick at. But yeah, if you look at, oops, if I can get it out, the inside, it's all sort of, kind of, and I also did it to each CD.
Hand drawn.
Rub letters.
And he was looking at it you were looking at it the other day and you're like, good God, hand-drawn triangles on each one.
Yeah, that's intensity.
Yeah, for sure.
So perhaps too much time on my hands.
Well, that's why they're $75 a piece.
The extreme limited edition.
Right.
There we go. Just I don't know if we can.
What else is here?
Here, we'll make a little festive display that will
look at
fall down
these?
immediately.
These spikes?
Yes, this is this is a prototype. So it doesn't really have. Oh, it's got a little something came along for the ride on this one. This is fuzzies. But yeah, this is these are some prototypes of some of the jewelry stuff that me and my sister Christina do. Looks good.
I like it. How do you get these little? Are these like dice or something? Scary dice.
Well, they kind of they sort of look like what is it? Just like fantasy dragon game
You
dice.
put the dice and the die on the drill press, and you drill delicately
You can tell
through.
I'm a real avid player of that. But no,
Holy
they're
moly.
they're just sort of these like sort of multi-sided
Cool.
wood beads that I paint
That's cool.
and attach many spiky things to.
That's great.
And then I've got this guy, which is a bracelet. And this one is actually one I stole to keep for myself. But there are very equivalent things. This is actually our later sort of store that we opened up just in the past few years. We Are Vandal, but
These are like gold and pearls or something?
yeah,
Does
so
it
it's
come
gold
from a
spikes
special
and
oyster?
yeah, like
a zebra mussel?
Yeah, like a punk mussel,
How does it open?
punk oyster.
Oh, it's magnets.
Power
Yeah,
of magnetism.
magical magnets. So
Do you want to wear this one?
I don't know. I lose it. I always will lose things.
you'll lose it.
My neck, this won't fit on my neck.
It's cat jewelry.
Me either. Maybe a ring.
I'm not thin enough for it.
Fat hand.
But yeah, that's some of the jewelry stuff that I've been working on, and that the We Are Vandal stuff is kind of closer to like closely related to the ex-American stuff, because sort of you can see the sort of the same sort of stuff. Like this is one of the things right here. I don't know. Here, we'll put it against my scarf, or you can't see it.
It's
I
like
don't
a
know.
spike on the
Fine,
end
we
of
need
a
to
long
surface.
little
It's-
chain.
I don't know. Yeah, you can see it. It's a spike. It's a spiky thing. Yeah. So it's a sort of related to that, and it's kind of evolved over time. So yeah, another one of the things I do is like I'm kind of interested in fashion, obviously, and I do something called lookbook, which is basically I discovered that I'm not the only weirdo who likes to take pictures of their outfits and keep them for some sort of weird personal fashion record. This
Yeah.
is like a whole legitimate sort of genre.
Is there a website that's specifically for doing that kind of thing? Because I've seen a couple.
Yes,
like
there
there's
is,
one you
actually.
can like rate them and like share like a lookbook type
Yeah,
of
it's
thing.
called lookbook.nu, like
Okay.
.nu. And so I have one of those. And me and my sister have always kind of been interested in fashion and stuff. And so we've had the White Owl jewelry store for a long time. And we've been in a couple different magazines, but I brought this one because it's probably the coolest one.
Swatch magazine. Oh,
Swatch- no,
it's a backwards magazine.
Yeah, well, it's Chinese. I think it's maybe specifically a Hong Kong magazine.
Oh, it's a
It's called
magazine.
Little Thing Magazine, so it goes this way. And they featured us back in 2010. We've been featured in a couple different things. And there was a Lucky magazine, but I didn't grab that today. But I thought this one was the coolest one. The photography in this one is just beautiful.
Oh, where's your
I lost my spot.
That's why she
Pulled it
hit
away
it too
from you.
slowly. Her finger was in it.
That's okay.
My dumb finger doesn't open it up.
Damn these hands, yeah. Okay, so it's really easy to see. This is us extremely small down here. I don't know
Able to
if
see it. Good
I
thing
don't
we
even know
have
if you'll be able to
cameramen.
see. Well, it's not that good
Where
of
are
a
you?
picture anyway. But
you-
we're all the way down here.
This is a pair of earrings. You must be very small in this picture.
These are all jewelry, and I'm at the very, very bottom. They're like, man, that's not a great picture of people, so it's not really.
Really small.
Yeah, we're tiny in the
Is
corner.
that what it says right here?
It could
They
say
are very
that.
small. Too
To be
Oh,
small
honest, I'm
ladies.
not.
Two small women.
I studied French, so
So you can read
I
this.
can only assume, like, I can see this here. It says White Owl.
It's in French.
Yeah.
Mandarin, perhaps. Christina and Courtney Spivak, perhaps also Mandarin again.
Cool.
And like I can pick out a few words that are, clearly don't have English equivalent. They don't have a Mandarin or whatever dialect equivalent. Like I'm sure they don't have Spivak.
Right.
My arm is
because that's
broken.
Ukrainian. Yeah. So So this is one of the ones, and I just thought it was
did they get in touch with you or so? How did you find out you were even in the magazine?
Well, we have an online shop. There's a whole market, just like there's a whole website for people who are just into sort of showing off their outfits and things. There's apparently a specific sort of a website for everything. So there's also one just for selling handmade stuff called Etsy.
Uh-huh.
And so we've had an Etsy shop since 2008, and people just kind of contact us for things like, wholesale orders for weddings, and, then they were like,
saying, ugh?
No, we're saying, because that's like great business, but it's also like, that's also like, we are our own sweatshop, it's like, mostly it's like a lot of times it'll be like my sister's stuff because lace stuff is really natural for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Wholesale orders for stores will tend to be more of my kind of stuff, but it can be, but not necessarily for wedding sort of things. But yeah, you also can get featured in treasuries, which are kind of collections of things around this website that people like. And so you get recognized through treasury making, and there's something called being on the front page of Etsy. So when you first log on to the big website that encompasses many stores, I guess is how I would describe it, then you get to be like featured on the front page with a little article. And so that happened. And then from there, other people would feature us in blogs, and then they would ask. There's a lot of times where they'll sort of ask for jewelry, and you'll send them a bunch of jewelry, and this was actually better because this was just photographs. We photographed and just sent them the pictures, but they'll ask for jewelry. They'll say, we're going to use this in Teen Vogue. Send this to us. You'd send them the jewelry, never hear back from them. They don't end up, even using it, and they kind of send it back.
So there are a lot of false. Office.
No, it's just, it's like anything, grab it all and sort it all out later. So it's just stuff they thought they were going to use, but they don't. So there's like lots of false starts. But then you'll get people, where Lucky Magazine actually did use one of the necklaces that my sister designed and was named after my friend Selmeen. So she was kind of like, I'm famous. A necklace named after me is in a real fancy magazine,
So, like, when you're about to do you do, like, different lines that have a certain theme to them? How do you come up with that? Like, do you draw something out and then try to, like, match things up? Or are you just, like,
my goodness,
you get a bunch of materials and, like,
just feel like I'm the most
together in different ways?
Disorganized person because I don't do anything really. I'm, like, just, like, I like spiky things, or, I've got this thing, so I wonder if I could do something with this, or I have like a real scattered thought process, and I think that's why I sort of work in a bunch of different mediums, is because I can't stay focused on one thing at a time. So I'm like,
I feel ya.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to do some song type things, and now I'm going to do some film type things, and now I'm going to do some jewelry type things, and
I've seen you work
back and forth.
I've seen you work on stuff, and it's totally like alarming to me because you sit down with like possible jewelry, constituent parts, and you just grab them and you form them together, and then it's done like before it starts, and it's great just like all your stuff is great. And same thing with music, where you can kind of like your process from beginning to end is beginning to like. A formed piece is so fast. It's like mind-bending because my natural state is to make something, like suffer over something for ages.
I need someone like, I need to be more like you and just be more like sort of, procedural about it.
You need to help her suffer.
Right, yeah. You need to suffer more, clearly.
Well, part of it, too, is because everything's so unstructured. It's like a nightmare for, I'm actually, Ex-American is two people. It's me and my brother-in-law, Jim Donovan, who's also in a couple other bands, and he is my drummer. And so obviously, if you know anything about drumming at all, and if you don't, it's all beat and time and conform to the beat is the entire concept. You can't, you can be a free-form drummer, but I think that's just called being terrible, possibly, or being like a baby. I don't know. Like, I'm banging on something.
I will not hear trash talk on free jazz drumming on this TV show.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend anyone. But yeah, so he's all like conform to the beat, have a recognizable structure. And so I'm like his nightmare come true, basically, like, because he's always like, but I don't understand. There's no, because my song structures, and I think that's where we get the like no shoes at the airport, but it's high school kind of thing comes in, is it's referencing, my music's referencing 80s music, but the structures I use are not really the traditional structure of, I don't use traditional song structure.
Right.
So, blood is squirting out of his eyes. And he's, probably should get some sort of medal or award for, trying to, like, make it work. And he does a pretty amazing job. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't have like a very linear thought process. And that's why, you know, every story I tell takes forever. I'm like I'm Queen Shaggy Dog story, because I'll make the greatest old person just like, well then, and of course, then we called them rhubarb dandies, and, hours later, and that's where spoons come from.
All right. I think one day that you have to exploit that in some sort of like just a film where it's just you talking, or like seeing how long you can make a story
uses
last.
it. If there's like a door-to-door solicitor, you know, since I was a kid, if there's
It
a
runs in
door-to-door
the family.
solicitor,
He uses that power.
it's genetic.
He uses that gland.
that power to make them ask to leave. Like, where we'll intentionally be like, oh yeah, so you're selling vacuums, huh? Well, you know.
Funny thing about vacuums.
You know what we used to in Ohio, you know, they call those sweepers. And so it's like our family talent is just, you know,
Ground
taking
brushes.
a long story and making it even longer, basically. So, which makes me a good show guest, because I'm like, you know,
I feel so super.
expand to fill the time.
I feel super awkward. Like this morning, we had a very awesome conversation that was fast, and we were both like spittle passionate about everything we were talking about. And now I just feel like really,
Yeah, well, I can't
like,
have those kind of
super
conversations. That makes me sound like, you know, like the grumpy person of a certain age that I am. It's like, these kids today are,
right.
you know,
right.
I
I
don't
guess
wanna...
that makes sense.
I just feel like I'm sitting in on your date. But
Hey,
you brought
three's a
presents.
crowd, man. Why don't you make like a tree and leaf?
Taking this cool necklace.
You're like, okay, but I'm taking my space pimp necklace with me.
That one does look good with the collar coming out from under the collar.
You look like you're
that was
going
good
to like
look for it.
like an ethnic disco on Mars. It's like a sharp look. It's a fabulous look.
I don't know if that's the preferred term.
Or if it's like Zardoz, like that's your like it's gonna start glowing, or you know, I don't know, like some kind of
Does it?
70s future.
How much is
person.
this thing?
Well, we should. We'll talk prices later. You have practically that same necklace at home, I gave.
You're better off buying the
know.
CD.
It's like
You're like, I know, but I want my own.
It's a little space udder, kind of.
Yeah, that's how I like to think of it. Absolutely. Space udder. Very,
Nice.
very pointy cyber cows. How many had to die?
Check
The
out my new
secrets-
website, spaceudder.com.
Free-range spaceudder.com.
Talented horse.
/dice necklace. Oh my God.
Non sequitur plus animal.com.
Right. Was there any other topics that we meant to hit on?
Filmmaking.
Oh, yeah.
Fashion-y things. Anything else you would like to revisit?
Talk about film. Let's talk about filmmaking a little bit. So you're actually a film instructor. Are you film history or film what?
Well, right
Instructor
now,
at Henry Ford.
Oh, sorry. I'm talking over you.
No, go ahead. That's all I had. I was just telling you where you work.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's HFC now. A C fell off because they're no longer
Henry Ford Community.
When I
now
left.
they're just the other C fell off, and they're just Henry Ford College because they have a partnership with a university, and you can get like sort of extended degree programs there.
It's Henry College
So
Ford now.
But they were always for a community college, they were always a really, really good school, you know. So it's not like it was ever a downgrade to go there. I mean, they've always had a pretty good program. But yeah, I teach film history and criticism right now. In the past, I've taught video editing. I just finished a Pro Tools class, and then there's sort of like a basic audio production class that covers everything from what is sound to kind of how to make a very basic sort of end product.
Cool.
And yeah, that's fun.
Ben just cut to me so I could just say, cool.
Cool.
But can you talk about your students, or you can't talk about your students?
No, I'm not gonna like talk about.
They're really good, right?
They're good. Some of them don't always, you know, do what they're supposed to do. That would be really.
Those whippersnappers.
Yeah.
They don't do what they're supposed to do.
We're in some gray areas here, you know. I could definitely say some stuff about, you know, spell check students always. Please spell check your papers. You
But
know.
you were in the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah, well, the court metrage, which is a little different, you know. I'm not like, you know, in Cannes Film Festival. It's a thing for short films, and basically what happens is there's like a sort of a tent viewing area. There are a lot of sort of like little split off, less glamorous areas of the Cannes Film Festival. It's not all like red carpet. Oh, hello, yes.
What color was the carpet?
You know, well, I did stand on a red carpet, but that was incidental. That was not for me.
They
And no one
pulled it
cared
away.
to photograph me as I am like a completely average-looking, like regular Joe.
It was right
regular
before that one
Joanne,
celebrity
whatever.
was pissed that you weren't intimidated by her.
Oh no, that was a different story. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's a
they have a
different
thing
story.
where it's like there's this sort of looping thing where people can come in and there's kind of a log of who saw your stuff, and so people could possibly want to option it. There was something where somebody wanted to put it on some short film channel and they just sort of never fell through with like so many things.
Mm-hmm.
But the great thing about that is that you do get to go and see all the first run stuff way before everyone else. So if you're a film nerd, you get to feel really cool for a minute. Be like, oh yeah, I saw that months ago in the south of France, So that's really, I think, what most people kind of want to go there for. And, I accidentally blocked Naomi Watts from entering her hotel entrance, the building, where I was blah-blahing, sort of like I am now, obliviously, blah, blah, yammering on. And then this very, like, small, thin, blonde lady is like, oh, excuse me, please. And then I'm like, and then it takes me, it's like one of those things where after the fact, 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh, I guess that was a famous person.
You pushed her down the stairs and spit on her.
No. Oh, how cruel. No, but I'm sure that probably is either a relief, I'm sure, or makes them feel bad. But I realized being in Cannes that I'm not super into celebrities and I just don't get excited. I'm just, it's kind of lost on me. I'm like, I've seen you on television. Do you have the time?
I don't get intimidated by celebrities either.
And then you push them down the stairs.
And on that note, we are out of time.
All right.
Thanks for joining us, Courtney.
Yeah, thanks
it was
for
really
coming on the
nice to
show.
have you. Thank you. And
I
thanks
shake
for
your
the
hand, but
necklace.
I've got claw nails.
I can't believe you just gave this to me for free.
Accessory consideration by.
Run the URL real big on the bottom.
Style all your future outfits with weird. You'll just have dangling spiky earrings, but your normal
From
clothes.
now on.
Well, it was
every
great.
episode.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.
See you guys next time.
Goodbye.